Welcome to Curious Salma. My guest today is Mohamed Ezz. I met Ezz in 2017. He moved from Alexandria to Cairo seeking more exposure and job opportunities in urban research. Ezz still lives in Cairo. He just got married. And he's now on the lookout for grad studies in urban sociology. Hi, Ezz.
ازيك يا سلمى. Hello.
Thanks a lot for joining me today.
You are more than welcome. I'm enjoying this also.
I am very excited to have this conversation with you. You were one of my awesome friends who signed up to be a guest on my podcast. So I'm very
Yeah.
grateful and super excited to catch up with you because it's been some time, right?
Yeah. I guess more than a year or something.
More than 2 years, man.
More than 2 years. Yeah. I mean, it's like Corona really fucks up my
More than two
mind.
years. A lot of things happened.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Corona itself, like, it really affects your sense of time. So I always feel like last 2 years was just like the last year.
So let's just start. Let's just start by asking, what are you curious about?
What am I curious about? I think I'm curious about the future. That's what I'm curious about. If something that makes me curious is future. Oh, trying new sports. I mean, I think so. Political news.
What type of sports you want to try out?
Okay, so the last couple of years I tried windsurfing and I tried volleyball. Recently, I'm getting back to play volleyball. And also, I tried ping pong. And eventually, I tried the ice skating, but I hated it. But still, like, though, I would love to try new things. In Christmas, I tried it in Germany, but it's really bad
Why did you hate it?
because, like, when you hear the bones cracking on the ground when people fall, that's really not a good sound. It's
Oh
really
my
bad. It's
god.
very traumatizing sound. Like, I remember
Oh
this,
my
and I have seen
god.
people falling next to me. I didn't fall personally, but it's like to hear how bones react, like with sound, like, crack. It's really bad sound. Yeah, 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 you see, it's like this is it, and it's like people are really crazy about it. Like they do it, like they just go in groups, and even it's like you can find people pushing you because like they are falling. So it's like, and they don't have like protective gear. I mean, I'm fine not having protective gear, but it's like if you're on ice, then if you can have like a crack in your bone or you break your hand. And actually, while we were going in, the ambulance were coming out. So it's like it's really aggressive and people love it and I think they're cute, but it's not cute. So I hated it.
Uh, wow. But did you know that I started playing volleyball last year?
Ah, no way. And how do you like it?
Yeah, I was really getting obsessed with it. I really like it, even though I'm not very good. But I like
No way.
playing in a group. I really like playing in a group. I have a lot of fun. I don't get along well with these people who take it too seriously, like the type of like athletes and the ones who play 2v2 and all of that shit. And they make me feel very stressed when I miss the ball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I joined some groups here who do it like, yeah, as a kind of a social event. And
Mm.
at one point I was playing for like 4 hours.
Wow. Well, that's something. But also, you're gonna find like many of these assholes who just go play and think they are doing Olympics or doing like World Cup, and
Oh
then it's
man,
like they
they
make you
yeah,
hate
yeah.
anything. Like I used to play football in 2019 with this group. Like just keep shouting and as if I need to prove that I have a value as a player and I need to be the man of the match. No, I mean, and actually, I just found out like another football group that they are just like we're playing for just having fun. And actually you figure out like you do more sports with this group rather than just like thinking about sports as like I need to do it, I need to be perfect in it.
I always wished that I was like into sports when I was a kid, but I didn't get that
mm,
chance. I didn't have. So now I'm trying to make up for it. Like I haven't been active in a while, honestly, to be honest. But like when I found that there are groups that makes it easy for anyone to join and start from the beginning, it was
mm,
awesome. I got to meet cool people and get into the habit of just being active. And me, because I'm an extrovert, so having the aspect of social games and being with people made it more like interesting for me instead of like being in the gym. And I met all sorts of people. Like I started to have friends who are like really fit and like into working out, and it cleared some of my the misconceptions I had. So I mean,
What kind of misconception you had about fit people?
miscon- misconceptions, yeah, that they are sometimes like arrogant or, superficial. I'm not proud of it, but yeah, I used to think of this. I used to have that kind of mindset, but after meeting them, mingling, and making a few friends here and there, yeah, I figured that it's, the whole thing. Not all people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
into stereotyping and judgments also, not only me, as you claimed before we started recording, eh?
I didn't
Now the
claim that.
tables
I
are
just
turned.
said I just said you have very strong opinions. I didn't say you are judgmental. I said the way I remember you when we first met, since we first met in 2017, is that you always had these strong opinions about stuff. Which,
Mm.
listen, I am opinionated, so naturally all my friends are opinionated by, not all
Yes,
of them as well.
salam. Yes,
Ag-
salam.
Again,
Either
not
they are
all of
fit
them.
or they are opinionated. Like you have best of both worlds, eh?
In all honesty and seriousness, the more diverse and different your friend groups and the people you hang out with from you, the more it
Hmm.
adds to your personality, makes you more accepting, and more open minded. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's very scary for me when I'm growing up that, not very scary, but like I am aware that my groups gets less and less diverse as I grow up. Have you noticed
Mm.
this?
Yeah, I think it's like we tend to go around comfort zone, but also like I don't know, like I think there were many like incidents. I mean, it's like it's not only Corona, but it's like it's something personal and other external factors that it's like, for example, me living in Cairo like tended to change how social life operates and affected my social life, let's say. But eventually, I think at these times, like I was like super going out, but then out of sudden, like I felt like I don't want to have a lot of friends. Also, like it's recently that I realized that I don't like very loud house parties, and I just enjoy more like having a little dinner gathering with friends and stuff, because I don't know, something about like the fact that I can't really process everything and I can't really enjoy everything. Like I need to be more precise. I need to be more looking for, I mean, not the value. I don't want to like really associate personalities with value. I mean, this is not the point, but it's the point is like what does it mean to have a quality time? For me it's just like to have like 5 or 6 people around, having a quality conversation, going deep into stuff, and instead of just like jumping from one conversation to another. I mean, it's like I'm become didn't I don't want to do that. And then also the fact that I'm into sports, it made me realize like this is really a very nice way to meet people, because I tend, since a couple of years, like I became like more comforted within my comfort zone. I mean, it's like I have only 5 people that I meet around maximum, even if like some friends come from Alexandria to crash for a couple of days, but then it's like you don't meet new people. And I don't want to meet new people. That's the thing. Like I feel like I don't have the energy that I want to meet people. That's it. I appreciate the fact that I am alone for some time, and I appreciate the fact that it's like I have time for myself, for my projects that I want to do, for stuff that I want to do. And in the same time, I would want to be also fit. I want to be sporty also. And sports actually makes 3 things for me: meeting interesting people, but we're just playing sports, so we don't need to enforce any social protocols. And then it's like getting fit, and I don't know, like making you happy.
Honestly, I really like what your point of view, and also this is growth. Like, I feel as I'm getting older, I'm becoming less fixated on having many groups of friends,
Mm,
and more about quality of the relationships that I have in my life, and knowing that these people that I have close by my side are there for, the good times and the hard times. So I understand. Also, sports, as you said, you don't have to talk all the time and mingle. It's not like sitting in a cafe and just talking for hours, because since COVID, for me, it changed as well. I am not now, I don't like hanging out with a group in a cafe or something, or in restaurants. I'm not into that life much anymore. However, I think what I meant is that you still have to have a room for networking and talking with people who don't have the same point of view on everything as you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue, one of the issues in the world, is that after a while life becomes too hard, so everyone goes to their comfort zone. They don't want to talk with a different person because it takes a lot from their energy, their, yeah, their energy and their time and their emotions. They just want to be with people who share the same point of view of the world like
Mm.
them. And the danger with that is that societies can't function this way.
You sure?
Do you agree that societies can't function if everyone lives in a bubble and don't talk to each other and exchange points of view? I mean, it's about everything that in life, like generally, the whole black and white thing. And I'm talking universally.
Okay. I mean, it's like theoretically, a society can function if people just tend that we don't feel like we want to be in society. Then it's like something else. But then I think societies exist. The fact that the concept of a society exists, it makes the necessity for bubbles to exist, because otherwise, like, people can associate them with the whole group. I mean, I think it's like, okay, getting more philosophical over here also. When we are like in big groups, for example, like if you're riding a plane, hmm, then when you sit down and just like look to the people before boarding the airplane, you just like look at them and you try to familiarize with the faces. You don't familiarize with everyone. You just tend to see how different you are from them until it's like your eyes goes to someone, for example, who have the same color of the passport. Then you say, ooh, they checked, okay, have the same color of the passport. And then it's like you probably don't want to go talk to them. You just want to go talk to someone else because, like, you know what kind of conversation you're going to have with them. So we look to find our bubbles. We look to find like spaces where it gets sometimes like us out of comfort zone, and sometimes like it gets us within comfort zone. It's our decision in this case which bubble we choose. So I think society the consists of small bubbles, you know, but then it's like these bubbles should have communicate at the minimum to function as a society. This is the kind of society we have. Whether it's shitty, whether it's good, whether it's communal, whether it's like more, how do you say, equal, whatever the fuck is. I think it's like it's up to us, and it's up to how do we want to shape that. For example, society in Cairo, the driving society in is shit. It's people living in within each and every fucking car, and they don't care about any other people. It's very few that you find people who can just think, I'm just gonna let you pass, and then I will pass after. This is the thing. Like, it's like people live in their own bubbles without really want to compromise because they think if you drive and you have like a strong image of yourself driving like a fucking man, then it's like it's what makes you happy at the end of the day.
How
And
about
this is
women?
like,
How about women drivers?
I mean, for
and
the
all the
stretch that
and
I
all the
have, like,
stereotypes and all the stereotypes about female drivers in Cairo.
no, but it's more comfortable. I mean, it's like sometimes like I feel like most of the men driving, they have this urge to push it. Like, they are the ones who come tailgate you and flash the lights so much because they are in a hurry, and it's like the whole street is fucking empty. You just can go whenever, whatever you want. I mean, it's like, why you come behind me? These people like want to feel like I can go fast, but I think like most of the women can. But some women, yeah, they also want to go fast and do stupid shit also on the streets. I mean, I don't care. They can all fuck off. I mean, I don't want any fast streets or fast cars around me.
Listen, I have my complaints driving here as well because I have a very small car, right?
Okay. So what are your complaints? Tell me, because I have a small car too also.
So I feel like I'm being bullied by the SUVs. I complain about that a lot with my friends. Anyway, yeah, but I'm very glad for me that I started driving. Like I've been driving now for 2 years. It was a challenge. I never thought I could drive. Basically, because my
Really?
dad told me you'll
Why?
never drive.
There is this tricky part about driving also. Like, I I never been in my life like so concerned about like road rage that I need to stop doing that, because otherwise like I'm the one who's choosing to do the road rage. Like, I don't know, like it's gonna be always shitty. Okay, so it's up to me like how to digest this. And I'm not gonna fix the world. Like you're not the Superman with your little car on the road. I mean, it's like it's just gonna be one freaking fight among these billions of cars. I mean, honking all the time. And I start to realize like I don't want, like for example, now I have to wake up early to go to work, and I prefer actually waking up early. And 70% of that decision lays within the fact that I don't want to see anyone driving in the city. I just want to go to my work while everything is empty. So that's cool for me.
So tell me about your field of work or field of study. It's very interesting, and I have to confess that I know very little about what is urban research.
Okay, so in a nutshell, urban research is like you focusing into studying the built environment around you, which is, it's funny because like we have been talking about like city problems in the last conversation. So basically, the urban research is like it's a huge field that it's specialized in like studying dynamics of the city, phenomena within like this built environment and stuff. So you can study things that is related like to economy, political stuff, or also like you can study individuals, their daily lives, how they map the city from their usage as a city dwellers. You can study dynamics of driving also, like why mashroor drivers, for example, are really driving so fast, and they're really fighting that they are kicking everyone around the streets in something that it looks like a race, but no one knows why. But they are just like, some people tend, for example, to explain this as a habit, but it's not a habit actually. It's like they do this for a reason, because the more that they pick up per day, it means the more profitable for them, because like they don't get paid in a salary, they get paid by the people who rides in the mashroor, or taking percentage of the money that from the fare. So they eventually have to, they have like certain specific components of, I don't know, like philosophy in the streets, which is like the faster I get, the more people I can have, and the more aggressive I can do, it gives me like the the position ahead of other drivers. So anyway, things like this, I mean, it's like you study and focus on. What I'm looking at is like informal markets in Cairo. The concept of informality for me is like, it's what it's makes me more attracted to trying to understand why we have something that it's called informality. I mean, it's like I understand that city needs to be developed, and cities needs to move on, and cities need to change also to adapt to other purposes probably, or something like that people want to have in a city. But then why specific regions that they will be deemed as informal, and by deeming them informal we tend to stigmatize like them, or like stigmatize like a whole neighborhood that
What's the word informal in Arabic?
عشوائي.
That's like the term for it in
I
English?
think عشوائي it means randomness, but then it's like this is the thing, like we created this language to address informal, like the informal housing. Let's talk about like informal housing, right? So there is this
Oh, interesting.
there is this fund, like that it's governmental fund, and also like it receives funds from international like bodies, let's say. It's like with the purpose of redeveloping informal settlements in Cairo. So the word informal settlements is something that the world agreed upon a definition of. It's settlements that they have like specific problems that they need to be developed, and they have been like developed informally by people who have problems. And then it's like we need to take care, like governments need to take care of these kind of places. They have to make sure like they have like the minimum health, the minimum infrastructure, the minimum services that is like necessary for city resident to have, because they all exist around cities, because cities can be like a huge engine of growth, and they are like huge economies by themselves. So in Egypt, like in the 90s, like the government launched this fund which is called like informal settlement development funds, with the purpose of developing informal neighborhoods, let's say, right after the Duwayah rock collapse. um, which was like quite disastrous, I would say, like on the local level and for the government internationally. And eventually it ended up like with this translation of this term informal settlement to be الأحياء العشوائية, like the randomness or the random neighborhoods. This is how you literally translate this from Arabic to English. But anyway, I would say it's like the point of creating the language itself. It's super political and ideological. That's why like we reached this point. We put negative connotations into something that we need to observe and treat it as like, I don't know, like I would say professionally, but it's like also we need to take care of how we represent also the others, because eventually this fund tend to um, go to specific neighborhoods. And I would argue that the purpose going for specific neighborhoods, like it's super political and it has like an economic aspect into it. It's not only developing it for the residents, because we have seen several neighborhoods like deemed as random or informal have been raised and they have been resold in some specific weird mechanism of pulling and pushing the residents either out or inside like different neighborhoods and resell it to investors. And then eventually this resulted in evictions. This resulted in a huge rupture within the economic or like socioeconomic network of these people who are living in these neighborhoods. So what I'm looking at, or what interests me, is like how we tend to use language within the urban development, and in the same time how this affects like city dwellers. Thank you so much. In a nutshell.
The thing is, when I noticed you now talking, I like how I didn't realize you're that passionate about urban sociology and urban research actually. And I'm curious to know, how did you get there? Like, what made you feel like you're interested to know and explore more about this topic?
Nice question. I don't know when I get it. Like I remember I studied computer science, I studied like geology. I switched, for example, like with the first university with computer science, I was really passionate also about it, like because I love programming, let's say, and I love like the geeky stuff. But then it was like a family decision that probably it's better for me like to move on and study geology. So I went to study geology and I was like, I don't like that, but it sounds interesting as like a Wikipedia reading, but it doesn't sound interesting as a study. So I decided like that I want to study something more political, I would say. I want to study, like I want to look upon things in a deeper way. And actually it's not for me that I want to do like applied sciences. I mean, it's like it's really interesting, and yeah, dinosaurs and the trip to the middle of the earth and whatever the hell is that. But then it's like looking into how we live together.
You know what? When I was hearing you, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I remember now that you have a very interesting, not like a study journey or like how you approach life. I think that you now just mentioned that you went through like, I think, three different fields of study,
Hmm.
right? And you switched, and you have been, for me, quite brave and quite authentic in how you wanted to find out what you want to do in life and what you want to study. Like, you were non-conforming is the way that I wanted to the word that I was looking for.
Hmm.
Everyone in Egypt wants to be a doctor or an engineer,
Yeah,
pretty much.
it's true.
You now, your journey is quite really different.
Hmm.
And the fact that you like stood up a couple of times and said, oh, I don't want to do this,
Hmm.
for me, because yeah, I come from the same background as you, in a way that we both lived in Egypt. So I know how challenging this could be, like among your society, among people like who would tell you, what are you doing with your life, like
Hmm.
what do you want to become,
Oh yeah.
all of these things, how are you going to make money?
I couldn't actually switch university until I left my family's place. I mean, I kind of felt like those things goes together. Like you become like kind of somehow financially independent, and then it's like you can take a decision, because also like the thing I haven't been prevented from changing universities, but it's like I think I kind of felt like I don't want to upset my family by my choice. because they are so much invested into such thing. They can see me after finishing one of the degrees, but I can see myself. And the fact that you are trying to challenge this future perception or assumption or like expectation, it's it's so hard. I mean, it's so hard, like emotionally also. Like, I don't want to break the news and then probably someone die from this news. That's how I imagined it. So I decided to leave the house, and then it's like, yeah, hey, I left the house. Now we are in a conflict, and I'm angry, so I can't change it now. I want to do it. So yeah, but it's like the idea to change the field of my study into something like journalism or like social sciences. I had it like for a couple of years, and yeah, I couldn't do it for a couple of years. But then it's like when the moment came, I felt like, yeah, that's the right decision to do.
And to continue on that journey of unconventional way of doing things, you got married to a non-Egyptian, and I'm very curious to know about your love story with Noura. Congratulations again! I'm so happy for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for your congratulation. We are planning to do a second version of our wedding in Egypt, but yeah, you're invited if you're there. But we don't know when. Also, that's one aspect of having like
That is sweet.
yeah, a relationship that it extends on the span of two continents. That you need to copy paste everything
Yeah.
from here to there.
You reminded me now. There is a stand-up comedian I love called Ronnie Ching. He's
Uh-huh.
Malaysian, and I think he lived in Australia, and he married an Australian, and then he went to the US, and he made a whole set about how he had three different weddings.
Can you send me the link for this episode?
I think Ronnie Ching destroys America or something like that. He's very funny. So yeah, he I think you would relate a lot.
Okay.
But first, I want to know about your how did you guys meet? She was in Cairo, right? She was living in Cairo.
By the time I was in Cairo, I was like finishing my studies, so I had like to go back to Alexandria like for purpose of examination and stuff regarding my studies. So when I went back once for my exams, like I had my friend over there living by the time, so I was like I would always crush the couch over there. And then Nora actually came to live in Alexandria as a German teacher or teacher for German as a foreign language in the University of Alexandria. And we met. And the fact that I was there, like doing my exams, I had this is how I get to meet Nora. And then it's like we would just like do stuff in Alexandria by the weekend. Yeah, so kind of like went starting from this like a long distance relationship between Cairo and Alexandria for some time. But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't imagine by the time that it's like we would get married.
You know, I distinctively remember as one outing we all had. You remember when we all met in some random ahwa in Zamalek?
Mm-hmm.
I was visiting,
Ah,
and Noura
yeah.
was there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and also a lot of people, and it's one of the very very memorable outings in my life, actually.
Yeah, we were at the cinema today.
Oh my god.
We had to pick up a fight for you.
Oh my god.
Forgot about the fight.
I even didn't remember that.
Oh, I thought that's in the script. I mean, I did this podcast with you to remember this moment. How could you forget about it?
I'm so like I don't know, horrified to remember. So yeah.
That was
So
fun day.
in a nutshell, why don't you share the story?
Good story. I wasn't the problem. I was a victim.
You were a victim, definitely, and you were awesome, and you were very chivalrous.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say. It's like the guy was very rude. I was just talking to him and he decided to smack me.
Let's take a step back, and
Okay.
I want you to tell that story.
Guy, the story from my point of view, we were watching Joker. Ah, yeah. After the break, we went back, and then I think I kind of heard someone is shouting, and when I looked, it was you shouting on a guy who's decided like rudely not to give you space to pass by.
Correction, I wasn't shouting as much as I was genuinely asking him, why are you talking to me this way? I was just like really shocked at some random guy just being very rude to me with no reason. So I didn't know back then that he was an actor.
He was
He
an
was
actor.
like the son of two very famous. Oh wow, yeah. He was the son of two very very famous actors. I'm not going to mention their name, but
Well, probably we
that's
should
how we found
mention their
out
name
later.
because this asshole, he needs to trim his
I
attitude.
wouldn't. So we didn't know why he was acting this way. And I think this is when you and our friends, the rest of our friends, you guys were very concerned suddenly that there is some guy who's talking to me this way.
Yeah, because
And
like
so
he
you
was
guys,
shouting also.
yeah, what you guys did is you just talked to the guy, and then I don't know how or why things started to get heated, and then this dude for some reason just slapped you on the face in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And that's when all hell broke loose.
I mean,
First of all, your sister was an absolute hero. Your sister was just furious, and
yeah.
she was something else, a ball of energy, and she was so angry and mad at this dude. And then the security guards came and they took all of them outside. And because we didn't want to leave you, of course, so we all went outside and we left the movie after making this horrible scene in front of everyone. And we got outside, and what happened next, as I remember it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we didn't even have to talk or explain anything to the security guards. They saw the guy, how he's talking, his attitude, and they were like, listen, this is not acceptable and we want you to get out.
Yeah.
And then afterwards they just told us, we know this guy, he's like, the manager, he's like, I don't like his attitude, so I had enough, so I just told him to get out. So yeah, we didn't have to even justify what happened, how it started, tell anything.
Hmm.
We just got inside again, watched the movie.
He was in on his own trip, I guess. Like he was just like really flying somewhere. I mean, it's like we didn't know what is he doing. I mean, it's like we're just going to watch movie, man, and it's like he's just like tending to shout at people and slapping them. It's like where the fuck you have this sense of entitlement? I mean, it's like it's not your own house, and even if it's your own house, you wouldn't really act such way.
Exactly, he was very entitled, and as I told you, we didn't know back then why he's so entitled. And
Mm.
then when we were leaving, as we were leaving the cinema after the movie, the manager told us this guy is the son of this actor and this actress, very renowned. They've been acting for like decades. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But I didn't even know he's an actor. So yeah, all in all, that crazy thing happened during one of my visits to Cairo. And then we still continued the movie, we still really enjoyed
Yeah.
it. And then afterwards, we all went to some local ahwa in Zamalek, and we stayed till late. And I remember it distinctively because I was feeling homesick in a way that I miss this whole thing of, sitting on local ahwas and just chatting and like being out in the street,
Mm.
You feel connected in a way to the street and to the people when you're just on sitting on a ahwa. I can't explain it.
Yeah, you kind of felt nostalgic.
Yeah, so I was feeling nostalgic, and when I had that moment with you guys and we chatted and we stayed till late and we laughed about it, and it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the good memories I remember from the past few years. I want to ask you now, again, about more and more of these happy memories. What was the best moment
Very tricky question.
of your life so far? Because
So
I'm
far, yeah.
100% sure there will be many many more.
Best moment in my life is when we decided to do windsurfing in Abu Galoum. And after 2 days of training, I managed to stand up on the board because it was fucking hard to manage to stand up like on the thingy, and you wouldn't imagine that you would never do it. But also like the trainer was like, you can do it, you will do it. And also Noura was like, yeah, it's fine, I have seen you standing up, but I never felt that I could stand up. And then in the third day I managed to fucking stand up. Even the people were just like looking, they knew that I'm just training, and they were like clapping for me when I just tried to approach like that. Yeah, you did it. So I think it's like that was really one one happy moment. I mean, it's like where everyone happy together.
I love Abu Galoum so 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 much.
Hmm. You should.
Abu Galoum is like a protectorate in Dahab, for everyone who doesn't
Hmm.
know. She's a small city in Sinai, an hour away from Sharm el Sheikh. The water is so amazing there. The whole vibe. It
Hmm.
also has its original people living there, Bedouins. They live in that protected area, and there are camps that you can stay there, and you can, like last time I was there, is in July of 2021, and I woke up at 6 a.m. and went straight into snorkeling. Like I just woke up from my hut,
Hmm.
went snorkeling for like half an hour and came back, and I felt so alive.
Oh, you went in July. Oh, that's cool. Also, in winter, it's really nice, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the time that did these things, like the sky was really amazing and the water was super clear. I would love to go again, but I feel like I did too much Sinai recently. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's.
That sounds like a very big achievement, man. Like when I finished my first diving license, I was so proud of myself for doing something that I can say I've done this in 2020, and also that I had a lot of fears of drowning and all of that, so that I overcame my fear and my anxiety underwater. It was so big for me. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say it's like stop being skeptical about things because I feel like I was too much skeptical about many things, and this somehow resulted in
Skepticism is healthy.
too much skepticism makes you feel like things are not real enough, or sometimes like it can be counterproductive to the extent that you feel like, eh, I don't feel like I want to do this because like it looks super pretentious. But sometimes like you tend to enforce this or to invoke this feeling that you're too skeptical to pretentious stuff because like you don't want to get involved in it, but at the same time doesn't mean that it's not pretentious. I don't know, like I now I grow up to be more accustomed to social protocols of society. I would say it's like when I was like 18 I was like resenting this, so this where it comes this feeling of like feeling pretentiosity. I don't know how to do this, but yeah, but I would think to live the moment more, and instead of like thinking that I can just take a decision and say it's like I don't think this is really cool because this and that, and then it's like, yeah, be less philosophical, I would say.
What is the best life lesson you learned from a movie or a book?
I don't know, like when you said movies, like you had this thing about like Night on Earth, the movie, like Jim Jarmusch. I love this movie so much, and I think it doesn't teach me anything, but it just like, I don't know, it shows how life is random, and you should just like enjoy the randomness, and also don't stand on the side. Just like be in, get in, be yourself, live this randomness. Don't feel like, oh, I mean, I don't know how I get myself into. It's just like it's really like it's a movie about like taxi drivers in midnight at the New Year's Eve. So I don't know, like I think it's kind of inspiring also if you want to take life lesson from it, but also it makes you feel like life is just being life. I mean, it's like things will keep happening and you just need to dig in. I was thinking about this. I couldn't really change it, even as like if you when you talk about like your experience.
I mean, a good art is usually the art that makes you feel things or think about things.
Hmm.
It just moves something in you. So that would mean like this is a movie I need to watch. What's one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you've answered?
I really left my expectation under the laptop today, so I didn't have like any expectation. But we didn't discuss like work environments, did we?
Yeah, sure. What would you want me to ask you about work
I
environment?
don't like. I feel like so many conversations that I have like recently, it's about like how people build and sustain their work environments that they are like living through every day, and for some reasons like the quality of these work environments like in the fields that I'm working in, it sometimes like makes you wonder is like why we are here and what are we doing, and how are we as like small organizations or like little enterprises, let's say, clever enough to create like a holistic, I don't want to use the word holistic, but it's like more of inclusive environments where people tend to navigate in a healthy way instead of like just building up stress and contributing like to a toxic environment. So yeah, I mean, it's like I would just like would love to join this conversation. It's like, because I don't know, like now I'm reaching what, my 30s. I feel like work is taking a huge portion of my time, but also in the same way, the fact that it takes a huge portion of my time, it makes me uh, prone to come up with conclusions or like come up with things like this is the best research that you can do in your life, is because you're spending most of the time in this workplace. So you feel like you're doing a PhD because you can live there for 4 years. So you have like impressions about how to make it better and stuff. But then if life was so easy that you can just like help people by just saying yourself in the work. But then no, I mean, I think it's like we are doing the opposite at our work environment. We are just like making it so hard to say what we don't like about that, and how this affects the rest of the time we have for ourselves, how this affects like our intimate life, how this affects our daily life like outside of work. And I think we need to discuss this. Like if you are super shitty that you can't really deal like in cleverly in the work environment, if I leave work all the time stressed or concerned about something, then it means there is a problem. I don't know what the hell, but there is a problem.
This is very interesting, guys. You give me a lot of to think about. Like, yeah, if you spend 4 years in some workplace, you can have a PhD in the that's a
Yeah.
very interesting concept. But if I want to ask you, if you could summarize to me 3 words, what makes a healthy work environment from your point of view?
Three words are connected in one sentence, or three words like separated? Makes a huge difference.
3 sentences is more. 3 sentences.
Three sentences, okay. Well, I think like we should mitigate and critique power at work. That's one thing, right? But also like doesn't mean that you need always to be like, I mean, I'm just explaining this, so please don't take it from my word limit. I'm just like thinking if we really going into like critiquing power and going for whatever we seek, which is horizontality, which everyone says like horizontality, but I don't think they mean it, is to be aware that people, like certain people, because like for many reasons they have the power and they have like to give space for other people like to express themselves. And instead I have seen people who lived their life, for example, in this organization, or they have been like founders of these organizations. They just pretend to, they are letting everyone having their space to express, but then they are building up judgments, and they eventually end up signaling some people from the team for what they said. And this is like so mean also, right? And it's so mean before it's being so clever, because if you're a person who's concerned about like the place and the project that you launched, you need to, I don't know, like you need to be like thinking better than this way. It's not that people are enemy of you. Like we are here to work together, we are not here to destroy the places. So that's one thing, right? Mitigate the power. Second thing is to have some sort of union, some sort of a group that it admits that, because we don't have like a power over there, like as new employees, for example, or we don't have like power such as like people who are old enough in the place who can express themselves. You need to find like ways to express yourself. And I'm not saying this because like we need to create teams or like we need to create like size at work. It's just we need to come up with a clever impression or a platform which allows people to express themselves freely, and they don't feel they are signaled for doing this. This is also another thing. Last thing is transparency. And I feel like I don't, this is also self-explanatory, so I don't need really to explain what means transparency, but just transparency. I don't need to explain so much about this.
2022 is so much wiser.
Ah, you think so? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I do think so.
I don't know, like I see it's like the also like if there is like a theme, I would say like for my current times is maturity, I would say, or just like taking my time to understand things, and also like appreciate the fact that it's like I know what I like, and I don't know what I don't like. No, I know what I don't like, and I don't know what I like.
I think I'm going to name this episode Taking My Time.
I think so. Should. Yeah.
Where can listeners find you online?
Instagram, I post so much over there about my cats, but also I don't know. Like this is also another thing. I'm not really active on social media.
That's cool. Good for you, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, I guess I could reform my question into, if you want people to approach you, where you think they can find you. So it doesn't have to be social media. You can just say, "Oh, this is my email," or "This is my website," or you can, what
Instagram.
cool. What's your cat's name, by the way?
Tuta.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time, being open, sharing all of these stories with me, reminiscing about our crazy time in Zamalek, even giving me a lot of things to think about. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice to catch you up actually online. Yeah, I wanted to do so, so you don't feel like I forgot about you, dear Salma. So I wanted to be part of your podcast.
That is very sweet. That's a very sweet
I
gesture.
have a question for you.
Sure.
What if this episode goes viral? How are you gonna react?
It's interesting because there is a part of me that doesn't shy away from attention,
Mm-hmm.
being an extrovert and all, and who works and who brags about her work or feel like proud of the things I've done. But there is also a part of me that gets very surprised when people like the content I post,
Mm-hmm.
or people react in a certain way, and start to feel shy and start to act like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't post that. Oh my God, what if people will think if I do this or say this?
Mm-hmm.
Or what did they think of this or that? So I think I will be in my head a lot. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy and feel proud that we've done this and that we got so many people to connect with what we've said.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also start to overthink things, you know?
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a constant struggle. As again, thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll get to do this again very soon.
Hit me up.